You probably heard this beautiful aria before. It's from the opera Gianni Schicchi. Angela Riley sang this last fall in a concert produced in a collaboration of Opera Theatre and St. Louis Public Radio. She's at the beginning of a promising career. She's a graduate of artist in training and was a Jardine Young Artist in 2020. These are two programs of opera theater that further young aspiring singers and were a springboard for many. While in California, she performed with the Los Angeles Philharmonic. She was also in the Christmas Carol video and now sings the role of Babel in The Pirates of Penzance, a shortened version that was filmed and shown to hundreds of school children. It's available virtually from the website of Opera Theatre. Hello, everyone. My name is Ingrid Neuefeind. I love opera theater. My husband and I have been enthusiastic subscribers for over 30 years, and I have been a docent for almost as long. Today, I'm going to introduce Puccini's opera, Gianni Schicchi. I will briefly talk about the composer, Giacomo Puccini, about Gioacchino Forzano, the librettist, then about Puccini's style, and then we'll guide you through the opera and let you enjoy the excerpts. At the end, there will be time for questions and answers. Generations of Puccinis were musicians in Lucca, in the Toscana. Giacomo Puccini followed in the footsteps of his fathers, playing services in the cathedral and other churches until one day he walked to see a performance of Verdi's Aida. He decided then and there that he had to become an opera composer. And what a composer he became. He studied in Milano, the center of opera in Italy, and his style is influenced by contemporary composers like Richard Wagner, Giuseppe Verdi, Claude Debussy, and even Varese. He became a master of creating an atmosphere and characterizing people and their feelings. He uses a big orchestra to accompany expressive melodies. He uses also wind instruments, but sparingly, but then they have a great effect in special situations. His operas are through composed, meaning that arias blend in and out of the flow of music. They are more romantic than verismo, but you can hear also modern 20th century sounds like bitonal or dissonant sounds in compositions of his later years, like Gianni Schicchi. He uses leitmotifs. These are musical motifs or themes connected to certain people or situations. And they reappear throughout the opera and give it an organic feel. They remind us of a certain situation before and what might be in the background of people's, what they're saying or what's coming up. Here are some of his most beloved operas, and La Bohème, both of them, Verdi and Puccini, were the most famous opera composers of their time. And their operas are still constantly produced to this day. Opera theater performed Madame Butterfly, La Bohème, reflecting on his years of studies in Milano, even though the place of Bohème is Paris. Then La Rondine and Suor Angelica. I think they did also Tosca. All these operas have female tragic heroines. But towards the end of his life, actually he didn't expect to die so soon, but it was at the end of his life, just like Verdi, he wanted to do something different. And in his case, I think he wanted to do something of fun. And so he was looking for material for a comedy. And also a new form. So this new form is the trittico. Il trittico, 3 contrasting one-act operas to be performed as a unity. We know the trittico more from a triptych in art, like in churches. Often there is one middle part and two side parts, but they're connected through a theme. Here, the themes are more contrasting rather than connected. The first one, Il Tabarro, very tragic and very small, very atmospheric first too, but very cruel in the end. Suor Angelica is, just for female performers, a religious melodrama about a nun and her baby. And Gianni Schicchi is the comic opera. So when the work was completed in 1918, World War I and the influenza epidemic were still raging. So he was very happy to accept an invitation by the Metropolitan Opera in New York to premiere Il Trittico. Though he wasn't present, it was premiered in December 1918. But the first Italian performance followed in the following January in 1919 in Rome. Though all 3 of the operas were well received, the third, the Gianni Schicchi, was the favorite right from the beginning. It's very often performed and is the one that opera theater is presenting. Sometimes it's matched with another one like the Cloak, or another one, another short opera. In Gioacchino Forzano, Puccini had found an ideal librettist. Both men were men of the theater, and they collaborated very well. Puccini was very involved in the writing because the words inspired him. Just like opera theater, he took great pains to get singers that could act. And he also gave elaborate staging directions. Forzano based the libretto on a few lines in Dante's Inferno in Book 30 about a real incident where he found Schicchi, he was condemned to hell by Dante. But Forzano added the whole story practically of the opera. He added the love story between Rinuccio and Loretta and invented the relatives. Here I'm presenting the opera, an opera recording from the Royal Opera House in London with Papano conducting and Richard Jones as stage director. He is a very famous stage director, sometimes controversial too. And then the singers are all Italian: Lucio Gallo, Ekaterina Signorina, Francesco Di Muro, Elena Zilio for the main characters. Gianni Schicchi, opera in one act, takes place in Firenze, Florence, quite prominent in the opera, and actually in the house of wealthy Borso Donati. This production is not set in 1299, but in the 1950s. And the characters are Gianni Schicchi, who's an upstart, not from old nobility in Florence, upstart from the country, and Loretta, his pretty daughter. Sita is Borso's cousin and the aunt of Rinuccio, and Rinuccio and Loretta are in love and would like to marry in the spring. That's one of the leitmotifs in the opera too. Every time it's in question whether they can get married, they think, oh, there's our hopes of getting married, it's going away. Anyway, Loretta doesn't have a dowry, and Sita is not willing to accept anybody without a dowry. So, and then there are more cousins and a brother-in-law and their offspring, and of course a lawyer, a notary actually, since it's about a will, a testament. So this is Florence, the golden Firenze, the place of the action. I think in the background we have Fiesole there too. I prepared a few slides that list some of the musical means that Puccini uses to make the action come alive and to get us emotionally involved. I invite you to use these listening hints if you're so inclined. So when the curtain opens, we find the relatives of Borso Donati assembled in his bedroom, expecting him to die, but totally ignoring him. In fact, they have a very good time right now. And it's expressed in the music by a lively leitmotif, which turns, into a mourning, woeful motif later after he dies. So when it's lively, it's going, dia, 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 dia. It's fast and high spirits. And then after he dies, it's dia, 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 dia. I think you will recognize this theme coming up all over during the opera. So now let us go to the Royal Opera House. Oops. Sorry. Come on. Go back one more. Let's go back to this one. All right. There we are.
Povero cugino, povero zio, oh,
Soon it becomes clear that they are mainly interested in inheriting Borso's wealth. They heard a rumor in Signa, which is a neighboring town and where the brother-in-law lives, that Warsaw left everything to the local monastery. But soon they keep thinking there must be a way that we can change the will. The problem is we have to find the will, and it's not in a lawyer's office. So they rummage the whole house, and finally Rinuccio finds it, and then they start reading the will with great eagerness and, of course, suspense. And I just wanted to explain a little bit how a musician can create suspense and enforce the feeling. So the motive is running scales down, but then 3 solemn chords, but it starts very softly, pianissimo, and with tremolos. The violins make a very quick bow strokes, and they go very close to the bridge to make it a little bit scratchy, that it sounds a little more eerie. And then it becomes slowly louder and louder and louder till the whole orchestra is playing the chords loud. And then there is a pause, and then they go to the next page, and it starts all over again. So it's dee 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 dee. So it's true, the monks get everything. So they're very, very disappointed. Maybe you heard that little dee da dee dee da da. It's almost like a little twinkle of the composer. Oh, look at them, what they're doing. He does that often with a little extra note in the winds, or sometimes in trumpets. So they are full of envy. They imagine the monks, how they are feasting, and how the people will ridicule them that they didn't get anything. Rinuccio is particularly disappointed and anxious because his happiness depends on it. It would allow him to marry his beloved Loretta. So he tries to convince them that Schicchi, Loretta's father, is the man to ask for help because they can't come up with their own ideas. He is astute, he says, and he knows the law. So in an aria resplendent with trumpets and drums, he sings his praises, comparing him to all the greats of Firenze, the ones who built the buildings or made Firenze famous. And there's a little bit of Puccini's irony shining through there too. Then he cannot convince his family. Then there's a knock on the door, and there he is, Gianni Schicchi. And they don't want to have anything to do with him. And soon a major quarrel develops. When he's about to leave, the music comes to a complete stop. And then in a huge musical contrast, Loretta, accompanied by a harp and doubling violins, doubling meaning the violins playing the same melody as the singer, She sings her expressive angelic aria that we heard at the beginning, O mio babbino caro, my dear father, expressing her love for Rinuccio, but actually asking her father, begging him to reconsider and not leave, but look at the testament. And he does. Sorry. It's so funny.
Ben venga Nolfo far la torre bella, e venga sotto dal bel selvoso, i medici mercante coraggioso. Basta con gli odi grechi e coi ripicchi, viva la gente nuova e giovanni scheghe. Aspetto sgomento e desolato. Cosa donati, certo è migliorato.
Perché si pallido?
Me lo zio. Amore, amore, quanto dolore. Andato, perché stando ad arrivare, ti recitano meglio d'un giullare. Componendo il dolore di tanta perdita, mio l'anima commossa. E la perdita è stata proprio grossa. Son cose, ma come si fa? In questo mondo una cosa si perde, una si trova, si perde buoso, ma c'è l'eredità.
Sicuro, ai frati!
Diseredati!
Diseredati, diseredati! E che cavolo tanto! Figlioli la figliolo! Legati di ritorno! Io non do mio nipote, ma tu mi
Io non voglio. Brava la vecchia, brava, per la dote sacrifichi mia figlia e tuo nipote. Brava la vecchia, brava, vecchiata, corri a finire, sogna la bella gente, niente, datemi il testamento.
So he decides to reconsider and to impersonate Bozo and dictate the New Testament. They agree the money will be divided evenly between them, and each of them gets the desired farm and the surrounding acres. But they cannot agree on who should get the big items, the mule, the house, and the sawmills at Sinia, the neighboring town. So in the end, they leave it up to Gianni Schicchi to decide. They think he will pick the right person. So they they send for a notary. Meanwhile, the three ladies dress Gianni in Bozo's garments, flattering him all the while and trying to bribe him with offerings of money to give it to them. Give it to me and I give you. And it's a beautiful terzetto when they do this. So total turnaround for these people. Then the mood suddenly changes. Ominous, very soft drums lead to Gianni's warning. The instruments reinforce his voice, low brass instruments. If they are discovered, the punishment will be harsh, and it includes exile. In a lyrical, woeful aria, Addio Firenze, Gianni illustrates the pain of leaving their beloved Firenze.
Run! arricchimento, o signori, giudizio, voi lo sapete il rischio, per chi sostituisce se stessi in luogo d'altri, in testamenti io lasciti per lui e per i complici c'è il taglio della mano e poi l'esilio. Ricordatelo bene, se fossimo scoperti. La vedete Firenze. Addio Firenze, addio cielo divino, io ti saluto con questo
So there's a knock on the door and the notary arrives. He is very pompous and he's mostly singing in parlando mode. That means he does not have a lot of melody. It's almost speaking with very little tone variation. Then Gianni distributes the money as they had agreed upon, and everybody is satisfied with the assignment of the farm that they wanted. But then the tensions become high again. We hear the tremolos when it comes to the most prized items. The mule, which apparently at that time was very highly prized, the mule, the house, big house in Florence, and the sawmills in Signa. They cannot agree who should get it. So they, in the end, they leave it to Gianni Schicchi to decide to give it to one of them. So when it comes to giving it away, the tensions are there again with the tremolos and so on. You'll recognize it. And Gianni Schicchi gives away the big items, and he gives them to his devoted, loving friend, Gianni Schicchi. You can imagine the shock and surprise, accompanied with thunderclaps in the music, laughing trumpet bursts, and running scales again, and bursts of chords when they hear what he does. But of course, the warning is still very fresh, so they cannot do anything about it.
Lascio la mula, quella che costa 300 fiori e la migliore una di Toscana al mio devoto amico Gianni Schicchi cosa vuoi che l'importa Gianni Schicchi di quella mula? Tienti buono Simone, lo so io quel che vuole Gianni Schicchi. Lascio la casa di Firenze al mio caro devoto affezionato amico Gianni Schicchi. Addio Firenze, addio cielo di mio, vi saluto, che mi discorde, del pescador la volontà, che se di Amanzio io lascio a chi mi pare, poi metti un testa, metti un sciara, quello, se gridano, oh calmo e cantarai. Ah, che uomo, che uomo.
Of course, he leaves the mills also to his best friend Gianni Schicchi. So you can imagine the outrage that they have at that. And they could barely wait till the notary leaves to let go and scold him, ladro, ladro, and thief and robber. And he chases them out of his newly acquired house. And they start looting the house, grabbing some silver, a picture, a chair or something while they're leaving. The music gradually calms down. And then we see Rinuccio and Loretta reuniting. Gianni had always made sure that Loretta wasn't witnessing any of this. She was out on the balcony. But now she comes back and the two lovers meet, and they couldn't be more elated that they could finally be sure that they could get married. Their love leitmotif comes, and it's a very, very beautiful duet that they're singing. And when Schicchi comes back, having rescued the Dante sculpture, he sees them so happy, and he says, well, how could we have any doubts that it is worth going to hell for? But he asks us to grant him attenuating circumstances.
Guarda
ditemi voi, signori, se i quattrini di Buoso potevan finir meglio di così. Per questa bizzarria ne m'han cacciata all'inferno. E così sia.
I think we do, at least I do. And I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did. And let's hope they had a happy life after that. Well, we have to say goodbye to Golden, Florence, and Fiesole in the background. And I hope that you get to see the opera as it's staged here in the open air, on the open air stage on the Webster campus. And it will be sung in English, which is the custom of opera theater. They sing everything in English language with super titles. And for this production, Leonard Slatkin is conducting the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. And they will film all of the productions that they have this spring. And it will be made available in the fall. So I hope you get to see it there. So thank you very much for listening. And now I would like to answer some questions. What questions do you have?
You can type them in the chat box and I can read them for you. Or if you would like to unmute yourself and ask a question, that would be good too. Barbara, did you have a question? No?
I can explain a few things that you might not be familiar with, like the AIT, the Artist in Training program that the Opera Theater has, is a program for St. Louis high school students. They can enroll there, they have to compete, and they get a year-long vocal training and training in business of music and a lot of education. A lot of them went on to maybe a music school or a career in music, like Angela. And the next step up would be the Jardine Young Singers. They are already very accomplished, and they very often perform also here in St. Louis, but also they go on. What's her name? Julia. Well, I forgot her last name. Anyway, it's a springboard for some singers that had really great careers, and it's a very nice program. One of them, I think, Opera Theater has a very good connection to the community, and they are financially always stable too. They get like 1,000 households are donating.
That's wonderful.
From the usual.
Ingrid, are they, how many of shows will they have this season? Will they, and will they continue to hold them outside most of the summer?
No. I think this is the last week that they have this week. Yeah.
And this is the last show this week? Or they will resume them in the fall?
They have also, well, yeah, tonight, tomorrow, and then they have a show that they call Center Stage, where they have all Jardine Young singers perform scenes from operas and to showcase them just for themselves. I think they have 2 weeks of that. Yeah, it was a little difficult to get tickets this year because it was so restricted. Not many people could go, and they had social distancing. There are always 2 chairs and then room and then another 2 chairs.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice that they have filmed everything.
Yes, that is nice. And so are they making that available on their website? Do they have a website?
They will do this in September.
Okay.
As I know, yeah. They have also an app now, an OTSL app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very good to know.
Yeah.
And Susan would like to know, what do people wear to the opera?
Oh, they can wear anything they want.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not very formal, even when it's indoors. but you know, most women like to dress up a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah.
but it's
It's an opportunity to,
yeah.
yeah, have an evening. Yeah.
It's not super. It's kind of casually elegant.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, men in short sleeves, and it's very common. And yeah, it's not very formal at all. It's very comfortable. And we like also to go to the picnics. You know, the grounds, they make them so pretty. And you can bring your own picnic, or you can order from Seth and Judy. You can order a picnic.
Oh, that sounds nice too. And do they have the picnics before an
Yeah,
opera? Yeah.
before the opera. And
Uh-huh.
usually when it's in the regular season, there's an intermission and they have an open bar. And there are always groups of people who stay afterwards, and the singers and also the other people who are involved with the opera, like the conductor or stage directors and so on. They usually, some of them are always there afterwards, so we can talk to them and speak.
Oh, that's fun
Yeah,
too.
it's very nice. It's a lot of people like it. Yeah.
Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I really enjoyed your lecture. So thank you for giving your time to us. It's appreciated.
It was a pleasure. I enjoy it.
That's great. Okay, well, I think if we don't have any more questions today, I'm not seeing any more. Oh, hold
No,
on.
people always ask about the mule.
About
why,
the mule.
why is the mule? Does anyone of you know why the mule is so important? It
Oh,
is
well,
such
that's a good
important thing.
question. And no, why is the mule important?
We were discussing it. You know, the sawmills. I mean, you have to transport at that time in the 13th century somewhere. So I guess to have a mule that's not störrisch, what is it? That will obey and is strong. That's probably qualities for a mule. So it's probably also meant to be kind of a joke, I think.
Yeah. So Susan also says, I think the term diva came from the opera.
Which one? Diva?
Diva
Yeah,
to
probably.
describe a highly regarded female opera star.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. But it's a certain star allure.
Allure, yeah.
Yeah, they can be nice, but can be a little bit nasty too sometimes.
Demanding, huh?
Yes.
Oh, again, thank you so, so very much. And we really, really appreciate, and hopefully, as we move forward out of the season of COVID, we'll be able to enjoy more opera, and the whole theater will be able to open again, and we can enjoy it indoors, and it would be special.
Usually the docents go to the places and then present it in, I mean, with pictures and
Yeah,
examples
yeah,
too, but you're there and you can
yeah,
talk with
yeah.
people. Yeah. So it was new for us too to do it all over, over Zoom. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming today. We really, really appreciate your presentation. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Mary.